The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, callers, and advisors on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved.
When the system fails, who do we hold accountable? And perhaps the more uncomfortable question tonight is this: who exactly is responsible, and do we hold everyone to the same standard? Because across the Bahamas, that question is showing up in very different places. In the skies above Andros, on a property in Spanish Wells, outside a government authority in New Providence, and once again in homes across this country when the lights go out. Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Headlines. I'm Devontae Hanna, sitting in for Shanique Miller, and tonight we begin with the new details about a tragedy that claimed 10 lives. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Authority has released its preliminary findings into the fatal Independence Day Flamingo air crash near San Andres Airport. The report details the aircraft's final approach, including its altitude, speed, and the moments before it struck trees and ultimately crashed. It does not tell us why, and the distinction matters because even because 10 people died, 10 families were changed forever. And while the preliminary report can begin to tell us what happened, the biggest question, what caused it, it still remains unanswered. But that isn't the only story raising questions about accountability tonight. In Spanish Wells, Dominique Pinder, the woman who went viral earlier this year during a confrontation with authorities, has found herself before the courts again. The authorities allege 4 new structures were built on her property without the required permits, and her arrest has once again ignited a conversation that goes far beyond one woman or one property. If the rules, are they being applied equally? Because in a country where unregulated communities have been debated for years, people are now asking whether enforcement looks the same regardless of your name, your community, your connections, and in this case, your color. That is the conversation worth having. And then there's politics. Free National Movement supporters led by party leader Michael Pintard and Long Island MP Andre Rollins have taken their concerns directly to the Public Parks and Beaches Authority over the controversial resignation of Eric Johnson. Now, the opposition alleges political victimization, but the allegation also reopens an old Bahamian wound. Should your political affiliation determine whether you get a job, keep a job, or lose one? And if we still have to ask that question in 2026, how far have we really come? And while we argue over politics, some Bahamians are still wondering when they can simply turn on a light switch and expect the lights to stay on all night. Because after days of outages, frustration has turned into anger. Food has spoiled. Businesses have lost money. Families have been forced to change their lives around the electricity grid. And people don't just want another explanation. They want reality. They want accountability, and above all, they just want results. So tonight, 4 very different headlines lead us to one central question. When something goes wrong in the Bahamas, who answered it? From aviation safety to the enforcement of our laws, to political victimization allegations, to the reliability of the electricity keeping this country running. This is Beyond the Headlines. Let's get into it. Well, Before the fatal flight, the Flamingo airplane had already completed 2 round trips with 60 gallons of aviation fuel taken on that day. Those are some of the new details revealed in the preliminary report into the July 10th Flamingo air crash. But investigators say they still do not know what caused the plane to go down. The report does not link the fuel or the 2 earlier flights to the crash. It also does not say exactly when the 60 gallons of fuel were taken on. The plane was flown by 45-year-old Franklin Cambridge, who had more than 13,000 hours of flying experience. About 200 of those hours were on the Cessna 402C involved in the crash. Cambridge had also passed his most recent proficiency check on that type of aircraft in April, less than 3 months before the crash. Now tonight, I'm going to be joined by aviation executive Captain Randy Butler, who is on Zoom tonight. Good evening to you, Mr. Butler, and how are you? Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Good afternoon and good evening to all.
I want to look at that plane crash, that preliminary report. What did you find of the details, or what did you make of the details?
Well, first I want to continue to say my condolences to the families of the victims and the pilot, and extend to all the recent aircraft accident victims also families. I hear the questions you're asking. They are important questions, but I ask because accident investigation do not seek to appropriate blame, but to see what happened and see what lessons we can learn to prevent that. And I think that's the same thing that's happening. So if I was to ask the question, I would say, how do we use what we've learned to make us safer? Because aviation safety cannot only be measured by the age of aircraft and number of accidents in a database, or whether an operator possesses the required certificate. Those are pieces of a much larger safety picture. The objective must be prevention. The accident investigation preliminary report did not appropriate any blame to anyone or any probable causes as yet. Although many in the industry who are professional in the industry look at some of the things, but this is just about learning and not any conclusion. Although in the past, we've had similar accidents and there were safety recommendations made to the civil aviation. And we want to keep the aviation accident investigation department is separate and do an independent investigation of the Civil Aviation Authority, which is the regulator. So what we're finding is, what have we learned from the accidents and this one so far? There's a lot of things that happen here that this report speak to about the airport, for example, that is government-owned. That's VFR, only open to VFR traffic. And it also spoke to its aerodrome lighting, firefighting capability, because some asked, had there been emergency medical equipment, whether we would have a young man that was the survivor, would he continue to live? I don't know that. But we have to ask if these 2 events that we've seen recently with the Flamingo Air, I don't think they're related, independent events, I believe, and that the occurrences that we need to look at is the safety, the oversight for prevention, which is the responsibility of the Civil Aviation Authority, the regulator, and to look and make sure that, because we don't need more laws or regulations, we have enough of those. I think we need more enforcement. I think there need to be more encouragement to the inspectors and the civil aviation to make sure they have the resources needed.
Are you suggesting then that executives in aviation safety have been just too lax over the years?
I will go on this and say aviation is safe. If you look at the amount of flights that are done every day, if you look at, from a God perspective, at the amount of airplanes in the air traffic system worldwide, you'll see it's hundreds of thousands of flights operated every day. Aviation, especially commercial aviation, is very safe. And I look at accidents, like we said, it's a safety system. It's made up of a lot of pieces. And if you would put petitions to an accident to prevent an accident, and these petitions are man-made, or so they all will look like a Swiss cheese kind of thing, and each one of them have a hole, whether it's the pilot training, the operations, the weight and balance, the performance, the airplane. If those things are all in place, normally you won't have an accident. But there's a breakdown somewhere, and the accident investigation would tell us that, and now we will know what to do. And have we done what we have learned from previous accident investigation? How do we have more inspections of the airplanes and pilots, making sure pilots have their licenses, medical, proper training, because it's the most regulated industry in the world. You know, pilots in the commercial environment have to go back to training every 6 months, every year, annually, and also to maintain quarantine, they go from 90-day, 30-day requirements to 90-day requirement. So it's regulated. It's a matter of whether that oversight is in place and sufficiently so.
I want to turn our attention back to the preliminary report itself. Here from my notes, the report indicates that the aircraft was aligned with runway 12 and was around 300 feet at a reported ground speed of 62 knots shortly before impact. For those of us that are not fully aware or understand exactly what those aviation terms mean, put those numbers into context for us.
Well, the airplane flies when there's sufficient air flowing over the wings, and that's reduced by the power, putting the power forward when you get to a certain speed. That airflow over the wings create lift. If for any reason, and there's a minimum speeds that the airplane can fly at. So when you see the investigators are putting those out, they're not saying this is a probable cause. They're just putting facts. Those who sitting there understand it was going slow. It was in a landing configuration, what we'll call dirty. We don't know how heavy it was. It doesn't make mention of that. But it obviously seemed to be an uneventful flight until turning on final. On final and Andros, there's really no pine tree. Pine tree is just a clear way straight into the runway. And you'd see that that plane crashed south of the runway. So we don't know what happened. With slower airspeed, there's controllability, there's performance issue, or whether you lose an engine, whether there was a stall. We don't know those things yet, but those numbers indicate, and those are things the accident investigator is looking at. Also, there's signatures that they look at. An engine producing power hit the ground will have a lot of damage on the prop. Those are the kind of things that you seem to mention there. So they're looking to see which engine would have had power if there was loss of any engine. They're looking at the final weight and balance. Also, whether the engines, there was fuel. And so you see fuel was mentioned, 60 gallons, and they said there were 2 flights earlier, but they don't know when that 60 gallons have been uplifted. So those are all things that tell you the accident investigation is going well. They're looking at these things to see what happened. And so once that is, they identify and the accident investigation is finished. And we don't have to wait, and this is some of the good things about this. We don't have to wait for the accident investigation final report to be produced for us to be busy about doing the things that we're supposed to be doing.
We kind of looked at that 60 gallons of fuel in the plane. Is that enough for 3 flights to and from Andros, from your expertise?
Again, that airplane, again, I think it burns about a little over 30 gallons of fuel per hour. And the flight is only 15 minutes. And so each one of those flights would have been 15. So if that's 3 flights, you still get 45 minutes. And so those are the things that the accident investigator is looking at again. And it's not only to have sufficient fuel in your tanks for the flight, but also to your, in a VFR situation, to your alternative, in case that you can't land the San Andreas for some reason. There may be something on the runway, and you have to return to Nassau. You need to have enough fuel to do that. So those are things, again, that gives us hint if you're investigating, the signatures you're looking at, that will help you to look further with the manufacturers of the engines, the props, and the airframe itself.
Based on what we know tonight, what is the single most important thing that investigators will, or rather, what is the single most unanswered questions after that report that was released?
Well, again, we're looking to make sure, and we're still, again, you can see there's the oversight function, prevention, and we need to have adequate oversight. And this is something that's continuous to make sure the civil aviation are going out, doing inspections of the airplane, making sure the operators also, which have a responsibility to make sure pilots are properly trained, and there's no fatigue in terms of people, it's more than tired. The prevention of fatigue, making sure preventative maintenance is being done, not only maintenance, but preventative maintenance being done. It goes also together with the airport and the environment, the runway that you're operating, to make sure if you're going to go to the particular airport that you have the required medical facilities or crash fire. They talk about San Andreas only having a portable fire extinguisher, so they are well on their way of looking at some of the things that may have contributed. But it tells us that are still looking at this, maybe we need to deal with the airport, maybe we need to do with clearing of the airport and look at the medical and crash fire rescue facilities.
All right, well, thank you so much to Captain Randy Butler who joined us tonight. We appreciate your insight as always. While you're watching Beyond the Headlines, stay tuned. More BTH is right after this break.
Hey, it's your boy Charlie Bahama here at Superwash, Superwash's newest spokesmodel, and I'm here to tell you about Superwash's large capacity washers and dryers for all your big loads.
I know I see that Charlie Banana coming here just now.
Uh-oh, luckily it's also big enough for me to hide it.
I thought he was right over here where these large capacity washer and dryers is. It's big enough now to handle your big loads, you know. Yeah, like you can put on your blanket. But just look at us. Somebody forget to turn on the dryer. Oh, stop! You hear something? Yeah, that's the sound of clean. Superwash washes you, presses you, and entertains you 24/7.
Did you know that when you shop at cbsbahamas.com, you can see directly into our vendors' warehouses? What that means is even if we only have a dozen of an item available in store, you can order virtually as many as you want directly from our vendors and have it delivered to your doorstep in just 10 to 14 days. You don't have to worry about shipping, imports, duties, or any of the hard stuff. Our back order program is unique and it's only at cbsbahamas.com.
Welcome to Paradise Premium Foods, where exceptional taste meets everyday convenience. Right in the heart of Hurricane Hole Plaza, whether you're planning a beachside brunch, an intimate dinner, or simply restocking your favorites, we offer only the finest selection of local and imported goods, handpicked for quality, freshness, and flavor. At Paradise Premium Foods, shopping is effortless, service is personal, and every visit feels like a treat. From gourmet meals to go to organic essentials and indulgent treats, this is your neighborhood market elevated. Live well, eat better. Discover Paradise Premium Foods, now open at Hurricane Hole Plaza, Paradise Island. Paradise Premium Foods. Taste the difference.
Well, good evening and welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. I'm Devontae Hanna, just sitting in for Shanique Miller. I see some people asking, she's just on vacation. She'll be back soon, right? Well, tonight a familiar battle over shanty towns is heating up again in Eleuthera. Months after a high-profile crackdown sparked outrage, arrests, and viral confrontations, authorities are back on the ground and say what they found has them taking action once again. Linton Ritchie Jr. reports.
Months after authorities demolished 14 unregulated structures on a Spanish Wells property, they returned to find 4 new ones back on the same land. And now, a woman who went viral for a confrontation with officers during the January demolition is headed back to court.
They continued to build on that property again. They were arrested and charged.
Dominic Pinder is expected to appear in court Thursday to face new charges after the Unregulated Communities Action Task Force returned to the property and discovered the 4 new structures. Authorities say several other people were also found on the property and were taken into custody. They were later processed in Nassau by the Department of Immigration for allegedly overstaying their visas. Pinder and her brother, Blake Pinder, first made headlines during the January demolition after video captured a heated confrontation with law enforcement. The pair could be heard shouting racial and homophobic slurs and were seen making derogatory gestures toward officers. Both were subsequently arrested. Now, Unregulated Communities Action Task Force Chairman Superintendent Stephen Carey says the latest action sends a clear message. Authorities will not tolerate what he describes as a blatant disregard for the law.
We cannot continue to demolish these structures and persons continue to rebuild with no respect for law and order. We will be going after them with the full blunt of the law.
But Spanish Wells is not the only Eleuthera community where authorities say they are finding people returning or new structures emerging after enforcement action.
In Blackwood, where we have already demolished some 60 structures, we have a new set of structures that is now being built. When we return to Blackwood, any persons in those structures, they will be arrested and prosecuted for building without a builder's permit.
Carey says follow-up operations in Blackwood also uncovered a number of immigration infractions. 20 people were taken into custody. Some, he says, had already been approved for work permits but had not paid the required fees, while others had allegedly overstayed.
Some of them owing the government in excess of $6,000 in back fees. All of those who owed, they were made to pay.
As for Pinder, she is expected to have the new charges formally read before a magistrate in the Harbour Island jurisdiction on Thursday. Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
All right, well, there you heard it, but here to discuss this tonight is the Beyond the Headlines Hot Topics panel, Leslie Miller and Ellington Raming. Gentlemen, welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Very interesting story there that we just saw. Let's break it all down. Let's get some thoughts on that. I guess, Leslie, you can go first. You could go first. You could talk about that story.
You know, it's so bold and presumptuous. These persons on the sun knows better than this. They've been in trouble before with the law and they come up. I mean, how bold can you get? You know, to just have total disregard for the laws of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I mean, who are they supposed to be?
Yep.
I just said it's outrageous, and I don't understand why she was not locked up on the sun when that happened again and brought here to New Providence, or I'm incarcerated there. In Eleuthera, this is nonsense. They don't have that power and authority
When we were watching,
to subvert the law like that.
When we were watching the clip, Ellington, you had something interesting to say. You said, you know, she's doing this because she can. Why do you think she can?
Obviously, Devontae, thank you for having me. She know that she can. She know that she have gotten away with it before. And after this, she'll go to court. She may pay a fine, and she'll be back and go back to work and bill a couple more. My thing is we're joking with these people. Unless we have laws, and this is across the board, not only in this situation, where Bahamians know when you break the law, you will have some serious consequences. In this case, I believe once you own land and you continuously use the land in an abusive way for against the laws of the Bahamas, it should be forfeited.
Yeah.
The land should be confiscated.
confiscated.
The government should take that land. That should now become crown land.
Yes.
And the government do what it wants to do with it, whether it wants to sell it to others or hold it for government purposes. Because obviously they're using the land for the wrong purposes.
Yeah.
And so we must send strong messages for these persons and persons like them that would try to convene the law and think that we're just a joke.
Agree with you totally.
I was going to say that
Totally.
the task force head, he said, that this sends a strong message.
No, it don't.
No send no message.
What do you think about that?
Look, the amount of money that she probably collect in the interim can
Yeah.
handle all of her legal bills, what they're going to put at her. So small things. Her finish with, she her get them, get rid of them, and she go and bill, and times they
Well,
get
I
back
don't
there,
understand.
she'll make another million.
Would they believe give them the right to do this over and over again?
Right.
Why?
Right. And I was going to ask that, she was, the initial structures were demolished.
Yes.
She already faced
Yes,
the
weeks ago.
court one time before, and here it is, 4 more structures are there again. And I mean, what does this really say? I mean, do people of a lighter hue have... Can they break the law?
I guess so.
And they just be fine?
She's a good example
does
of
it
it.
suggest that?
She's a good example.
Wow.
And I personally will not go to the extent of saying a lighter hue, because I've seen things like this happen across the board with people of all hue. I mean, right here in New Providence, I see it every day. Every day people think they can do what they want because they can get away with it. They can afford to pay to get away with it.
Has to stop.
And
Simple as that.
Actually, I want to use that segue because a lot of people, they tend to use not just because of their skin color, but also their politics. It's also a way where people feel like they're invincible. We see all the time when PLP is in power, the FNM is in power, and their supporters, I hope I ain't marching in your corner there, Mr. Miller, but a lot of their supporters...
I got plenty going.
But a lot of their supporters, they feel entitled, and we kind of touched on that
you're right.
last week, right?
You're right.
But I want to turn our attention to this next story, which has been pretty interesting, and people have been buzzing and talking about it for the last week or so. The opposition protesting the controversial resignation of one Erinique Johnson. Jose Etienne was there at the protest outside beaches and parks. He filed this report.
Justice for Erinique! Justice for Bahamians! Justice for Erinique! Justice for Bahamians!
FNM supporters erupting in protests as they condemn the controversial circumstances that led to Erinique Johnson's resignation as Human Resources Director at the Bahamas Public Parks and Beaches Authority.
She was offered a job by the executive chairman and then subsequently forced and intimidated to resign from Bahamas Parks and Beaches Authority on day 2.
The reason behind Johnson's resignation, party supporters say it has all to do with political victimization. However, Executive Chairman Jamal Strawn appeared blindsided by those claims.
Mr. Strawn, could you speak to that, the bullying that allegedly happened?
I don't know bullying.
Yeah, so...
Bullying? Yeah. No, I don't know of any bullying.
That's constructive dismissal, Chairman. Constructive dismissal.
That's where he and the opposition leader lock horns despite an apparent productive meeting held between the two.
It's clear he should be aware. All of us are aware of the bullying that occurred. All of us are aware.
About that meeting held around 3 p.m. today.
I believe some progress has been made in terms of making sure she will not be unemployed under this administration where she duly and rightfully obtained a job fair and square.
Still, Erinique's fate with the authority remains in limbo despite her rescinding her resignation. And human resources experts say it's usually up to the employer to decide whether someone's able to reverse a decision to walk away from the job.
Well, with the resignation letter in hand, we're just looking at it for right now, and we have further dialogue.
While the allegations remain unproven, they have thrust concerns about political victimization and its potential impact on qualified citizens and their careers in public service into the spotlight. It also reignites concerns about whether employees end up serving as opposing operatives in government agencies. Nonetheless, many agree that there is no place for political victimization in our country. Jose Etienne, Eyewitness News.
Thanks, Jose. Well, there you have it. A young lady, FNM, is hired under a PLP administration, shows up to work on Tuesday. On Wednesday, there's a post saying that she's an FNM and she should not be in this position. By Thursday, she is told she must resign. because she's an FNM, allegedly. Allegedly. It's all alleged.
Come on,
People are
she's
saying.
a Bahamian.
Say that again, Mr. Miller.
She's a Bahamian.
Yep. And I mean, I've had somebody tried to mash on my toes because, I said, walking with a candidate doesn't guarantee you a job. It should matter what your qualifications say, right? And somebody tried to get on me and, hey, man, it's cool, it's fine, but at the end of the day, she's a Bahamian and she deserves to work where she is qualified to work. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're absolutely right.
Ramin, we spoke about this. We spoke about this last week. After all of this, do you think this is now becoming political theater in a sense, or do you think this is a genuine concern worth protesting or getting upset at?
Listen. Let me say, Mr. Strawn is a decent young man. He's a good MP for his area. He was re-elected second time with a resounding vote of confidence by his people. I met with him, and he showed me the letter that the young lady gave to himself and two other persons involved in this incident. He was very, very concerned about it. Because he's not one of those persons who would try to victimize anyone. But I'll tell you what happened, in my opinion. Because these precedents have been set. I'll give you a good example. In 2007, 2007, when the FNM won the election. Before we left office in 2006, a study was done between the IDB and the National Insurance Board with getting young people to join the board of doing an assessment of the poverty level through the entire length and breadth of the Bahamas, okay, for the whole country. That was undertaken. I think we hired some 250 persons, young men and women alike, to go on a job training program that was spearheaded by the Right Honourable Minister Shane Gibson. And within a month of the FNM taking power, all those persons were let go. And I think the people in the PLP who has this mentality that is payback time, look what they did to me, and they might have been involved in it. Because some of the faces that I saw on the stuff that I saw on Facebook really bothered me. Because we all Bahamians. Mm-hmm. The qualified young lady, and it bothered Mr. Strawn immensely that this pressure was put upon him by persons outside the purview of his authority to say, well, they got to go because she's FNM or no one FNM. First of all, she's a Bahamian.
Yep.
Born and bred in the Bahamas. She has the qualifications. Yep. She went to high school here, did a good job. I believe she went to college.
She did.
No one has ever contested her capability and her professionality. And it's just sad to me that when these things happen, the person who's the chairman has to take those blows that was brought upon him by his own members or by the party that he's associated with. Mm-hmm. That crew that if you don't do what they say, they will bring you down.
Yeah, because I saw some calls even for him to resign.
And it's wrong. I saw one guy went to him and he, I guess, wanted to get this contract. And he indicated that you can get some, but not all. And the guy said he gave the Prime Minister until Monday today. To either fire him or he will deal with it. Where the hell they get this authority from? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe these French people who come into the PLP, and I've been there all my life. And I never saw none of them around at all between 92 and 202. Mm-hmm. Remember, he said in the wilderness for 10 years under Mr. Ingram. They wasn't even around. And they made no substantial contribution to uplifting and rebuilding the party to where it is today. But you have these persons come from these other parties, and they go into the PLP because they have some fuss with their own party. And they come with this vengeance. And there's so much hate and malice in them that it bothers me that they would attack anyone who's not one of them now. She's a Bahamian, she has a right to work. And I trust that the government itself would find her a job that's equal to what she was getting in that position and allow her to earn a living and earn a salary that she's entitled to as a damn Bahamian. And no one should, I don't give a damn who try to distract from that.
You can't curse.
Go your way, but you do the best, because it's unfair. And it's not right for a political party on the status of the PLP that we would allow something like this to happen and then dump the load on the chairman. And it's wrong for those persons who go and attack people like them on both sides, not one, both. You need to stop and show the pettiness and the mindset of wicked people who believe that as soon as I win, you gotta die. I got food. She has children to feed too. All of us go to Super Value to buy food. All of us has expenses. So why should she be caught out with the rest? She got to go because she's. I don't like this all. And I've been there long before all of them put together. All.
And that sentiment.
And I won't sit back and allow it to happen.
Right. That sentiment shouldn't just be for this one isolated situation. Just because a party let you go or whatever back in the day or whenever, it's wrong.
Wrong is wrong
across the board. And
you can never make a wrong right.
Right. And then Ellington, I'll allow you a moment to chime in here.
First of all, before I say what I want to say, let me just respond to what Leslie said when he asked who gave these persons the authority to do with it or to feel like they could do it.
Yes.
Leslie, these parties gave them those authorities.
How?
They come into the party and the party empower them by giving them certain things and giving them certain privileges. Move on to what I must say.
Okay.
Devontae, as you said, we spoke about this last week and I defended this lady to the T. I think that she deserves a job. She is a young Bahamian, and whether FNM, PLP, COI, BDM, or whoever, she deserves a job when she's qualified. What happens for me now, though, this whole situation about this resignation letter, this kind of shift this whole thing for me. Because people on social media, progressive liberal parties, supporters on social media, had some serious concerns about this individual. I don't see where, and my question is, was her resignation voluntary? Was she asked for her resignation? Because if she's on the job and the persons who hire her, the executive chairman is pleased that he done the right thing as it relates to hiring her, I am concerned now where this resignation letter comes from. What about resignation? I think, Devontae, the Prime Minister, he got a lot still coming out of the beaches and parks from his previous last administration. I think the Prime Minister needs to pay special, close attention to what is going on in beaches and parks and don't allow that to run out of control. I think the Prime Minister needs to look into that, pull that in close, watch that closely.
I believe that.
There are some things that may not be going right, and the chickens can come home to roost.
I believe there was sufficient pressure levied against that young lady that she decided it's best for me to go get her to
I hope it's only her deciding.
Because they were going to continue to go after her day and night. I know this is a woman, a decent, respectable,
and a young lady
young Bahamian
too.
woman
Yeah.
that has all of our respect. But you have this French crew over there, believe that you got to be executed because you voted for the other side. But how do you get people to vote for you unless you bring them into your circle and show them that you're bigger than that, that you're better than that?
Is there more going on?
Come on, man.
Than meets the eye? That's the question.
We're gonna put a pin in it right there and actually come back and continue this discussion right after this break. You're watching Beyond the Headlines.
Think you know a lot about money? Then prove it. What if one sound could win you big cash? Listen carefully. Then tell us exactly how much money went through the machine. One guess, one sound, one chance to win. Listen, guess, win. It's the sound of money. Brought to you by 103.5 The Beat. Powered by Island Lux Quick 5.
Well has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay eatin' well.
We all know there are ways we can help. Your help can go even further. Be an everyday superhero. Donate to Hands for Hunger.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Before we went to break, we were discussing the controversial resignation of Ernie Johnson. It started to get hot there, but Mr. Miller, we began talking about the fact that, initially it was one of, I guess you could call him a pundit, enthusiast, someone from who claims to be a PLP supporter. Yeah, that person was the person who initially brought it up.
Mercenaries. That's what they are. Mercenaries.
Why do you call them mercenaries?
Because the mercenary go to the highest bidder. Once you continue to feed them for what they want, they'll kill Christ if they have to.
Do you believe that is hurting the PLP? Because a lot of them on social media, they have, in the last administration, we saw them supporting AFNM. Now we see them supporting the PLP. Do you think that's hurting the PLP or helping the PLP?
You know what bothers me? The degree of profanity. Yeah. Every word, F, 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 F. How much votes they could get you? They couldn't get you 10 votes, all of them put together. And I keep telling the party this. I say, this crew here, you got this one here. Mr. Big Shot, this. They couldn't get you because decent people don't want to be associated with people like them. Dave and I go door to door. I can tell you how people feel. They don't want to see them. They don't want to hear their names. But people are afraid of them in the party. Some of the hierarchy members. If I don't do what they say, they can attack me. And I don't want them to keep attacking me. But they get further attack me. I'll attack them back.
Well, Leslie, I'm going to tell you, unfortunately, and is the case with both parties as it relates to these people who goes on social media and use all of these languages. I think both parties parties, Free National Movement and FNM, think these people are very, very influencing, and that these people really brings them vote when they go out there and do what they do on social media.
Most of the people in our country,
the Progressive Liberal Party feels that way.
Most of the people in any country, man, are decent,
and you will see it in how they reward these people.
I guess so.
Allegedly.
No.
Oh.
You will see it
allegedly
in how these people are rewarded. Because they have done very well. They've brought the party over, as they say.
What party over? Brought the party over to what?
Only Leslie one feel the way he feels that they can't get votes. But the entire party, the Free National Movement, feel like persons like that involved in their party brings them vote. The Progressive Liberal Party feel like persons in the Progressive Liberal Party that's engaging in those stuff brings them vote.
I mean, because this has been going on for quite some time, and like you said, both parties views them. Even if we look at the last election cycle, we saw where some members would be talking to this particular person, or a party may be talking to that particular person. But I mean, when you look at their platforms, as you said, these ain't really.
But the degree of profanity, though.
Yeah.
Because children listen to those things,
Definitely.
Kids go on their phone. All he has F, F, F.
And
I'm sick and tired of
they
them.
become reoccurring sounds on TikTok where children can use them.
Okay? And it's wrong. It's nasty. It's dirty. And the PLP should not associate themselves with those mindsets.
That is the new politics, unfortunately, in the Bahamas today. Unfortunately.
Do you think that has hurt Facebook and social media? Do you think that has hurt campaigns or helped them?
Let me say this, Devontae. And while the Progressive Liberal Party won the last general election, the Free National Movement saw an abysmal turnout of its supporters. I'm not sure that these parties understand that possibly that could be some of the behaviors that turn some of our voters off and kept them away from politics and say, you know what, I don't want to be bothered. Screw it, y'all do whatever y'all want to do. I can believe that some of those behaviors could be some of the reason why we didn't see a lot of people come out to the polls. People just didn't want to be associated, didn't want to be involved with that type of behavior, didn't want to have nothing to do with it.
The PLP got to be bigger than that, eh? But you see, the FNM started this now. I'll never forget. It was so outrageous what they did. The man who's responsible for NIB, he fired everybody within 2 weeks with no mercy. And they were PLPs and FNMs. So these people who were there and knows about it, they got hate in their heart that we got to do the same thing they do. You don't have to do the same thing they do. It's not right and it's not fair. Every Bahamian got a right to earn a living in this country and feed their children and have a stake in the welfare of our country for their lives and their families' life. All. Make that clear. That's the Bahamians now. I thought that damn crew, okay? I don't want to go there because you see what Trump doing.
I guess you have to have a word with them off the TV, right? But I mean,
off the record.
Yeah, off the record. So tonight we talk about power. We talk about this situation that was going on with Ernie Johnson. But I want to talk about something a little funny, right? I mean, first thing I want to ask you, gentlemen, is do you know what is a hookah?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Hookah.
Hookah,
yeah.
And you had one last week?
What the hell is that?
I thought, didn't I see you with a hookah catching, getting some
I got a woman who's beige. I don't know what the hell that is.
All right.
Hookah, not a hookah.
Yeah, not hookah. It's
I know you.
Hookah, right? Hookah. So for those that may be at home trying to figure out what this is, it's actually a water pipe commonly used to smoke flavored tobacco.
Yes, like a vape.
You inhale through a hose attached to it.
That's the vapor thing you're talking about.
Yeah. So, all right. So now we've established that, a woman actually took to social media this weekend. She said she was at a local restaurant smoking a hookah. That's when she felt something come through the hose and into her mouth.
What?
Yeah. And she alleges that it was a live cockroach. And you could see it right there on your screen, a live cockroach that she inhaled through the hookah.
So who she wants to now? The cockroach or who?
I mean, we haven't independently verified whether this has happened or not. I mean, we're not trying to assign responsibility.
They need to be careful.
She did name the place in her Facebook post. It was Sunset Beach Barn Grill, allegedly.
You didn't want to kiss her, kiss the damn roach.
Street. But, I mean, if any of you gentlemen, obviously, Mr. Miller, you never smoke a hookah in your life, right?
I don't know what the hell it is. I thought you said hookah.
All right, if you smoking something,
God.
What, and a roach come in your mouth, what happens next?
Everything else that's in me is coming back out. Everything that's in me coming out. All day. I can throw it right there and for the rest of the evening.
And the young lady said, obviously, she wasn't trying to get out the bills.
But is that grass or what they smoke?
It's water vapor. So what happened is you have this big machine, and
it gives you a high or what?
Yes.
Yeah, some of them do, and they put something called shisha in the top, which is the flavor. Put some coals on top of that, and you pull it with the water.
And you pull like you smoke, like you vaping.
Yeah.
All I want baby woman to do for me is bathe me now and then. All that stuff y'all can keep. I know. Once a week, that's all I have. Once a week. And I'm happy. Okay? The point thing is a simple fella. I come from Colorado. Once a week, I'm happy.
All right. All right. Thank you to both of you gentlemen for joining us tonight. It's good to have some stuff to pick you up when you have all those heavy notes.
Is good for the soul.
Right. Yeah. But that's our show for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night for Beyond the Headlines. Thank you so much. Have a good night and be safe.